Go, there's no place like home for the holidays. 'Cause no matter how far away you roam.
Hi YouTube, this is Raven. I'm a survivor of a 16-year marriage to a covert narcissist or someone with personality disorder, whether it's borderline personality disorder or narcissistic personality disorder. However, he has not been officially diagnosed by a healthcare professional with NPD or BPD. This is just simply my opinion when I say that he had a personality disorder. Now, that being said, I'm not sure where this video is going to go. It's kind of an end of year thinking back of things that have happened and things that may have not happened. It's mostly I'm doing this video because my kids are gone for the holiday. They left yesterday about 2 o'clock Christmas Day, and they won't be back until after the new year. And like a lot of other parents who are co-parenting with someone with a personality disorder, you can get really depressed. Especially when your kids are gone for, a week at a time. Especially if you were one of those parents who really threw yourself into the parenting role or the nurturing role. Because that was the kind of parent that I was. When I was married to the narc, I threw my whole heart into being a good mother, a good wife. I mean, I took pride in the fact that when my children got up to get on the bus every day, that I went downstairs and I made them scrambled eggs and bacon and toast and fresh strawberries and orange juice. I instead of feeding them Pop-Tarts, I would feed them a good breakfast, and I took pride in that. I took pride in the fact that I made sure that my children ate a good breakfast. I made sure that my children had quality clothing to wear to school, that, when it snowed outside, they had snow boots to wear, they had gloves, whatever they needed, I made sure that they had. Even though a lot of times, we couldn't pay our bills. Now, I didn't realize at the time it was because NARC was taking money and putting it into a separate bank account and, credit card. But, I made sure somehow that the children had what they needed. And I took pride in that because I felt that I was a good mom, that I was a good wife, and I was doing what I was supposed to do. But the narc didn't see it that way. If they see something that you take pride in or something that you really love, they're going to try to take it away from you. Because when the divorce happened, he filed paperwork, he filed an affidavit saying that he was the sole caregiver of the children, that he did everything for the children, that I did nothing. I was this lazy woman who did nothing. And it really hurt because I was thinking, all these years, that I was a work from home mom. I did all this stuff and had a job at home, and I got no credit for it. So, that was part of my personality, and it still is, that I'm a nurturer, I'm a caregiver. And the children aren't here, for a whole week to nurture and take care of. So, I'm trying to find things to keep myself occupied, for the week, because, I'm not in school right now because we're on winter break, and I'm still working, so I'm trying to find other things to not think about the fact that my kids are gone for a week with someone that I don't think appreciates that he has kids, because as soon as they get to his place, he ships them off either to his parents or to a friend's house. He doesn't spend a lot of time with them when he has them. And, I sit here and think, if they were here, we would be going and doing things, and so that makes me depressed. I was very depressed last night, but I had some classes to take for work, so that kind of kept me occupied. But that's something that a lot of parents have to deal with, is like, how do you keep yourself busy? How do you not be depressed when your children are gone? Because unfortunately, that's the reality of co-parenting, that your children are not going to be with you. And sometimes, especially like last night, I'll have very low, I'll reach a low point where I think, should I have stayed? Should I have stayed with the narc and dealt with all the crap, dealt with the gaslighting and the triangulation, the manipulation, the verbal abuse? Should I have stayed, for the kids? Because I remember telling my counselor, at the height of all this abuse, when it was going on, that, it's like, I have 12 years left. I've got 12 years until my son, my son was 6 at the time. It's like I have 12 years until he's 18 and he's out of the house, and then I can leave. And I remember her saying, that's a long time. 12 years is a long time of your life. Do you really want to do that? And so, I have to remember that, and I have to remember that as like, no, staying with him would have been worse. It would have been worse. And yeah, I don't need to subject my children to that. So, here I am, depressed. It's the day after Christmas. But one of the good things I'm going to do is that tomorrow would have been my 19th wedding anniversary. We got married 2 days after Christmas. And instead of sitting around moping or feeling sorry for myself, I'm going to be shadowing an ER nurse. Because what I'm thinking that I want to do is to be an ER nurse when I graduate nursing school. So I called up one of the larger hospitals and told them who I am. It's like, can I come shadow a nurse for a day? And they're like, oh sure. So I'm excited about that. I kept telling my mom over dinner, it's like, maybe there'll be a gunshot wound, maybe there'll be a stab wound victim, and she's like, oh, what is wrong with you? It's like only a nursing student would find that interesting. But so I'm excited about that. Instead of sitting around on my 19th wedding anniversary, feeling sorry for myself that I'm 42 years old and I'm a single mom and divorced and trying to make ends meet. Instead, I'm going to go do something to help my career and to help me feel better, to build up my self-esteem, because the narc did everything he could to destroy it. And I'm going to do that. I've hired a tutor. I'm going to go see the tutor later this week. And I had a moment with this tutor. She does this for a living. This is all she does. She's a nurse, but she tutors nursing students. And we were sitting around during what she calls her boot camp. And it's like an 8-hour initial course that you take with her. And during lunch, she asked me, why do you want to be a nurse? What brought you to nursing? And so I started my story, and I don't tell everyone like, hey, I was married to a narcissist for 16 years, and I don't lead off with that. And I said, well, I went through a divorce, and I decided, during the separation, I wanted to go back to nursing school. I'd wanted to go to medical school 10 years ago, but my husband wouldn't let me. And she says, oh, yeah, I went through something similar. She says, I was married for 17 years to someone with borderline personality disorder. And I was just like, whoa, oh my God. And so then I revealed to her, I said, mine had borderline, although I think he was narcissistic too. And she's like, oh honey, they're both borderline and narcissism. They're the same. And so we sat there for an hour talking back and forth, and I won't tell her story because that's her story, but it was so similar. There were so many things about that, that she could have been my sister. I mean, we and her husband could have been my husband, and she kept asking me all the time. She was like, "Oh my God, I have chills running up and down my arms." She's like, "I never open up to another student, to a student like this." And, it's because, people who have been through that situation, we share a bond. It's, like the co-parenting parents who get depressed when their kids are gone. It's the same deal if you've been through a marriage to someone with a personality disorder. We kind of share this common bond. And she even said, people don't understand. You try to tell people, and they just don't get it. They don't understand unless they've been through it. And I said, yeah, I found that I can't talk to people about it. But I was also thinking back on my marriage, and I was thinking about how my husband had been a very conservative Christian when we got married, supposedly conservative Christian, and he eventually became atheist. And because of that, my children didn't grow up in the church. They just now started going back to church. And I really wish that I'd had my children in church for all their lives. I really do, because there's a certain arrogance that atheists get. I mean, I don't want to, I don't want to be beating down on atheists, but there's some atheists that they just get this arrogance about them. You know, just, oh, I know everything. Oh, you believe in God? Oh, how stupid of you. You know, you're so anti-intellectual. I mean, they're like that. And when my narc became an atheist, oh, it was like he was on overdrive. It was like he had taken his narcissism to the next level. And, you know, I may do a video sometime on atheism and narcissism because they seem to go hand in hand. I've met some atheists that are very, very humble people, but the majority of them were very, very narcissistic, very arrogant. And my daughter is exhibiting some of those characteristics now. And it upsets me. And so I'm trying to make her go to church more often, you know, when they're here. Because, you know, I don't want her growing up without empathy. I want her to care about people. And, yeah, I don't want her to develop those characteristics that her father has. But my son, the other Sunday, Narc's sister is very sick right now. I won't talk about what her illness is, but she ended up in the hospital and she could have died. And my son, when my mother dropped him off with Narc the other day, he said, you know, we went to church this morning. You know, we went to church because it was Christmas Day. They went to church on Christmas Day. And she says to, he says to his dad, I prayed for my aunt. I prayed that she would get better. I was like, that was just so sweet, you know. So obviously he's getting something when he goes to church. He's getting something out of it. But, you know, I wish that I had fought that battle and had my kids in church, but I didn't, you know. And so I guess, you know, at the end of the year, I'm thinking about these things, and it's one of these, you know, times where at the end of the year where you reflect on things. And I think back about how for 16 years, I never had a drama-free Christmas. Christmas always had some kind of drama associated with it. Either it was his family upset that we spent part of Christmas with my family, because how dare you have a family other than us, you know, or there was some drama between my Jewish sister-in-law and my mother-in-law, or, you know, my mother-in-law was causing problems with me and Narc was not doing anything about it. You know, the covert narcissistic abuse that they subjected me to, you know, he would leave the room and they stare at me like, you know, because like, how dare you be here at our Christmas? Oh, you're ruining our Christmas, you know. But, you know, he wouldn't believe me that was going on. So it was like 16 years of drama at Christmas. It's like, why does it have to be that way? And, you know, I'm sitting there thinking, why did I put up with this crap for 16 years? You know, and now, you know, thinking, you know, would I have continued to put up with it so that I could have my kids 100% of the time? And I can say now that I might have, but it would have driven me crazy. I would have been depressed like I am, and I probably would have been an alcoholic. And I'll talk about that sometime in another video, that, you know, that alcohol was one of the things that I used to deal with the abuse. So I'm not sure where this video has gone. It's just kind of bounced around all over the place. But I wanted to say, you know, if you're without your kids this holiday season and you're feeling depressed, you're not the only one. It is hard, but realize that you have made the right decision. You made the right decision to get the narc out of your life. And, you know, your kids someday will see that it was the right decision. So that's all for now. Be vigilant, be safe, take care. Happy New Year.